It's what no Albuquerque resident wanted to hear.
We will certainly provide numbers as soon as we have them, but we're not there yet.
Mayor Tim Keller on Tuesday unsure whether taxpayers would be on the hook to fix major design and mechanical issues with ART. For example, at one station, the platform isn't level with the bus, making it difficult for people in wheelchairs to get on and off. And that's not all. Battery life is another significant issue. The mayor's office says the buses should run about 275 miles on a full charge. In reality, they only last for about 200 miles. Today, we checked back in about the possible cost to fix these issues. Finally, some great news. Keller spokeswoman Alicia Manzano this afternoon confirming the city has finished reviewing all of the project's contracts and found that taxpayers will not have to foot the bill for any necessary changes. And to make sure there aren't more issues moving forward, the mayor's office today confirmed something else. It has a new acting transit director after asking the previous one under the Berry administration to resign. According to a statement from the city, Mayor Keller knew coming in that he wanted new leadership at transit based on how ART was being handled, including the lack of community input on the front end for the project. For Target 7, I'm Megan Cruz.
We wanted to know when the city knew something may have been wrong.
I was hearing about these issues back in October, November, but I was optimistic that the buses would be here soon.
Right now, the bus company's only delivered 9. The mayor's office says they were supposed to get 20 by October. Sanchez says the city likely did not reveal the issue sooner because it thought it would be resolved.
The Supreme Court says the way you vote in Santa Fe is going to change very soon. The High Court says the city different will have to put the new system into place for the upcoming mayoral primary in March. Voters approved the system back in 2008, but it hadn't been implemented because the city wasn't prepared. The goal is to make sure the candidate who most voters would approve of actually wins.
You could have many people in a race, and one of the candidates might be a fringe candidate, very different from the others. Conceivably, that person could get elected with 20% of the vote. Under a ranked choice system, it's unlikely that that candidate would be elected if you counted people's second preference and third preferences and so on.
All right, there's a lot to this here. Here's how it works. If 5 candidates are running, voters rank those candidates from 1 to 5. If none of them gets 50% of the vote, the candidate who finished last is eliminated. The people who voted for that candidate will have their second choice counted. This process repeats until a candidate gets 50%.
Will making police immune from lawsuits keep you safer? New Mexico's governor seems to think so. Target 7's David Carl is here to tell us what Governor Martinez's new proposal would mean for you.
Yeah, the proposal would be introduced during this month's legislative session, and it says that if an officer is acting, quote, reasonably, they can't be sued. That has some New Mexicans concerned about a state already struggling with officer use of force.
She's proposed sort of some legislation like reinstating the death penalty and now this police officer immunity bill that don't seem connected with reality.
Protecting the protectors.
I'm not sure what problem the governor thinks she's addressing.
Governor Susana Martinez introduces a new proposal offering police officers immunity from lawsuits. This in a state battling claims of excessive force from police officers.
Our big problem in the United States, in many police departments, and certainly in Albuquerque, is that police officers have not been being held responsible when they've been using excessive force.
The proposal would make officers immune from civil and criminal lawsuits related to use of force, as long as they, quote, act reasonably in the conduct of their service. In 2014, the Department of Justice cited the Albuquerque Police Department for what they called a pattern of excessive force. 2 years later, a monitor said the department, quote, struggled to adequately investigate use of force cases. Allen says the idea refocuses New Mexico away from solving a growing crime problem.
We have these kind of distractions over and over again, and that's really disappointing.
Now, the actual proposal hasn't been formally presented yet, and it could be changed before it's introduced. The Democratic legislators I spoke to today said they would not support this bill. For Target 7, I'm David Carl.
U.S. Marshals arrest a man wanted for a murder in Albuquerque last month. They found Michael Bates in Denver. Police had asked for help finding him after he allegedly shot Benjamin Maldonado during a fight. Marshals are working to bring him back here to face charges. Two adoptive parents in Harris are facing child abuse charges. Deputies were doing a welfare check last weekend at a trailer park and they found 4 kids ages 8 to 12. They say it smelled of urine and there was feces on the floors and rotting food in the fridge, and there was no running water. Bonnie and Larry Taylor told deputies they'd been living there for about a year. The 4 kids are now with CYFD.
New developments in one of our state's most shocking cases ever. What Michelle Martins told investigators the night her daughter was brutally murdered, and how her lawyers are trying to take it back.
Lawmakers divided on how to protect hundreds of thousands of undocumented New Mexicans, why they could be safe from deportation for now.
Plus, the exciting new venue coming to the Duke City and how many jobs it's bringing with it.
You're watching KOAT Action 7 News live at 10.
Some unusual developments in the case involving Michelle Martins, the woman accused of taking part in the rape, murder, and mutilation of her own child. Police reports show Martins detailed to investigators what happened the night of her daughter's death.
Now, as Nancy Laughlin reports, it looks like her lawyer plans to call an expert to try and discount what she said.
In the hours after her daughter's murder, Michelle Martins talked to detectives. In those reports, Michelle told police she watched as Jessica Kelly and Fabian Gonzalez raped and killed her 10-year-old daughter, Victoria. Now, though, as her case moves forward, it appears Martins' lawyers are trying to poke holes in those damaging statements made by Michelle Martins herself.
They're listing an expert on false confessions. They haven't identified that person yet. The defense lawyer says they're looking for that person.
KOAT legal expert John Day says in high-profile cases, it is common for defense lawyers to try and undo damaging statements suspects make to police. In Michelle Martins' case, police reports show she detailed not only the rape of her own child, but how she watched as Fabian Gonzalez and Jessica Kelly dismembered the little girl, then made tacos and acted like nothing ever happened.
They may want to attack the statements as the product of what's called false confession, which is certainly an issue In a lot of cases these days, it's when people make statements to the police and the defense later attacks that and says, well, that was completely false, or that wasn't entirely true.
The medical examiner's report shows 10-year-old Victoria was murdered, dismembered, and set on fire. All three suspects